Hi, everyone. I'm Jimson Lee for SpeedEndurance.com, and today's podcast is how to race the outdoor 200 meters. The 200 doesn't get the respect in track because it's in between the 100 meters, which is the world's fastest human, and the 400 meters, which is the killer event or the world's toughest event in my mind. And of course, I'm being biased. But luckily, in the past 15 years, we've had Michael Johnson and Usain Bolt bring some spark to the event. Now, I have three rules I want to go through before I talk about how to race the 200. Rule number one, you cannot go all out from the gun. Even in the 100 meters, you cannot go all out. So don't expect the 200 to do the same. And it's just like a 400, you have to run the race in phases. Rule number two, lane 1 and lane 8, it is still 200 meters. I hate it when people complain they get a bad lane in the 200, and I always remind them it's still 200 meters. I prefer lane 8 because of two reasons. One, the curvature is not as sharp, and two, you're in front. No one's in front of you. You run your own race. If someone passes you, and they pass you. Lane 1 is tough, I admit, because of that lane, that little rail inside. You can't run as tight, and the curvature is sharp, but all lanes is 200 meters. And the last rule, very important rule, do not touch the line between lanes no matter what you do. And if you don't believe me, just ask Chirandi Martina or Wallace Spearman at the 2008 Beijing Summer Games. And I am sure they will have an opinion on that. Now let's break down the men's and women's 200 meters. The first phase is 40 meters. The second phase is from 40 meters until the end of the curve. The third phase is to reaccelerate for 20 meters. The fourth phase is 60 meters relaxed, and the last phase is where you gather and lean for the finish line. I'll go through each of these phases now. Now the first 40 meters, it's a bit arbitrary because for some people it may be 50 meters. I know Clyde Hart likes 60 meters, where you drive out of the blocks for 60 meters. Youth athletes may be only 30 meters because they'll reach top speed sooner. And even for female athletes, they reach it sooner. So it's somewhere between 30 and 55, 60 meters where you go all out, about 95% to 99% of top speed. Just a word of warning on block placement in the start. You'll notice in this slide the blocks are angled so that you have a straight imaginary line to the tangent of the curve of the lane. And the first few steps out of the blocks, you are running in a straight line, and then you have to negotiate the curve. Now, the second phase, which is the 40-meter mark until the straightaway. Now, just before we start, the straightaway in most tracks is 84 meters in length, with the curve being about 116 meters. That's because there's a 36.8 meter radius of the curve of the track. And you should know that when you get to the straightaway, it's not really 100 meters to go, but rather 84 meters. Now, some tracks will vary, of course, but the curve is longer than the straightaway in most outdoor tracks. Now, this phase, phase 2, I feel is where the race is won or lost, and only because people just don't run their race. If you're in a lane, you may spend too much energy trying to catch the guy in front of you, or if you have your own lane, and then there's someone who just blows by you on the inside. All these factors gets the athlete really excited, and you lose concentration, you lose your form, you might touch the lane on the track. This is the part where I really feel you have to stay controlled and stay focused for about 60 meters, maybe 70 meters in length. So phase 3 is what I call a 20-meter reacceleration. And the best example I can think of is Tommie Smith at the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City, where as he got to the straightaway, he just pushed for 20 yards. And it was known as the Tommie Jets, as you've seen in videos on YouTube or on TV. This is the reason why you do all the changing speeds and changing rhythms at track practice. And I'm talking about the 60 meter where you do 3 segments of 20 and you go hard, float, hard for each 20-meter segment, or the other way around, you go easy, hard, easy, and you try to pick up speed and change speeds. This is the reason why, because in situations like this, in the 200, where you are already going near top speed, you have to make the effort to push for about 20 meters, and then you relax. Now phase 4 is the last 60 meters, and this is where the lactic acid setting in. This is where you're losing form, and this is where you swear the finish line is being pushed farther and farther away from you as you run. It's really important here through your speed endurance training, where you try to stay tall, use your arms more as you would earlier in the race, and just try to keep form, keeping your cadence, and staying relaxed as possible. And the last part, phase 5, is what I call gather and lean. And I take this out of a Bud Winter book. And what better person to ask than Lee Evans. And he was the master of leaning for the tape. He had practiced this so many times where you push, push, and dip for the last 3 strides. And at the tape, on your last stride, you drop your head, you bend at the waist, and then you throw your hands back. And of course, it is 201 meters for the race, not 199, not 198. If you want to run 199 meters for 200 meters, you better find someone else to coach you, because you will not be on my team. Now this picture shows why you should lean for the tape in the 200 meters. And okay, we know who won. The winner here is Konstantin Kinteris from Greece, and this is the 2001 World Championships. Drugs or no drugs, he was first. Now, 2nd through 7, you tell me who came in 3rd or 4th out of the medals. It's not clear to me who, but this picture shows that you should lean for the 200, whether you're in front or not, because every inch counts. And speaking of inches, I'm going to close off the podcast with a cliche or expression. To win the Kentucky Derby, you don't have to beat your competition by a horse length. You only have to beat them by an inch. And that's it for racing the outdoor 200 meters. For speedendurance.com, I'm Jimson Lee.